Here. So I'm going to take the jacket off. You can bear with me for 1 second. I'd like to thank Nate and Greg and Mike and the rest of the team for, first of all, creating this incredible forum and environment for San Diego's creative community. Obviously, with the turnouts for this event and the past 8 events, you're filling a tremendous need, so give them a round of applause. I'd also like to thank them for inviting me to be a part of it and to contribute my small part of the conversation. And Greg approached me not too long ago to speak on this month's topic of empathy and how it maybe relates to or kind of connects with the arts and artists. And I jumped at the chance because I felt like I knew a thing or two about both. I feel like I'm empathetic, and I'm an artist. I run an arts organization, A Reason to Survive. And so, but once I sat down to shape and formulate the talk, I realized how expansive and rich this topic is. And I could be up here all day talking about it. But I empathize with you, and we won't do that. We'll keep it to the 20 minutes or even a little bit less. Because one of the great things about the process of creating this talk was I had a lot of conversations with people about their thoughts about empathy and the arts and artists. And there were some really rich conversations. So I'm hoping that we can do that after I give my brief talk. So first of all, I want to start with a question. Why is empathy important? Why am I given the stage here today? Why are you in the crowd to listen to it and have a discussion about it? Why should we care? I mean, literally, why should we care? And I would argue that empathy is the very foundation for our humanity. You know, it's the basis for all positive and authentic relationships, and it creates a more healthy, happy, and harmonious society. And lack of empathy, or absence of empathy, creates conflict. It creates a disconnected society, a society that's more self-centered and self-serving, and that really is a definition of empathy, the ability to understand and share other people's feelings. And so when you're not able to do that, you're not able to connect with others. And for me, I think leadership really, a true leader needs to have empathy, and leaders that don't have empathy really are captains of their own Titanic. It's not sustainable. You know, the ship's eventually going to go down. So not everybody may agree with me on that, but this is a whole nother topic, another talk. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole today. So let's put a better image up there right now. A little transition slide while I talk. You know, but on a serious note, lack of empathy is lack of humanity, and so a society that lacks that is doomed. And I know that's a heavy statement for this Friday morning with your coffee and donuts, but I think it makes us uncomfortable because if we're honest with ourselves, it rings true. We know there's a growing section of our community that lacks empathy. And you know, I think it's fascinating to me that with technology today and all the advances in technology, that we're more connected than ever. And the world is so small. And we're connected with each other, but we're not connected to each other. You know, we hide behind, or in front of, probably, screens and email and text and Snapchat and like, or soon to be dislike on Facebook. And we make comments on these online articles. Have you ever spent any time in the comments section of articles? I mean, talk about a vacuum of empathy and humanity. It's just a horrible place to be. But with this new connected world, we're also more aware of world events and global events, a lot of which are so foreign to us. I mean, no pun intended. We can't wrap our heads around it. Most of us in this room have been lucky enough not to have to experience things on a daily basis that most other people have to. War, extreme poverty, oppression, all of which, by the way, is because of lack of empathy. And so I think about that currently we've got the Syrian refugee crisis, right? And it's so huge. We've got 4 million people and growing, just a mass exodus out of Syria. And I was in Turkey this summer, so I was able to get more of a personal connection to it and see it on a more personal level. But for most of us, it's data. It's these large numbers, right? Until you see an image like this. Right? It's a difficult image to look at. We feel that image. We understand that image. We empathize with that image. That's the job of the photographer, to make this event real for us, to make this event personal. And that's the power of imagery. I'm going to be empathetic, and I'm going to go on to another transition slide of a happy rainbow. Because it's not all doom and gloom, it's not the end of society. I'm also here to bring some really good news, some great news, especially for most everybody, hopefully in this room, because it is Creative Mornings San Diego, and by the definition, everybody is creative, that empathy can be taught, even to those people, like Mr. Trump, that don't have it, or don't appear to have it, or don't want to be taught. How can it be taught? And I think you know the answer. It's through the power of imagery. There's, whether it's a photograph or a painting or poetry or music, we have the ability to connect with an audience. Artists are the ones to be able to create a more happy and harmonious society through the work that we do. So we were put on this earth. Everybody in this room who is creative and artists, we are the chosen ones. We are here to create art and to create imagery, whatever art form that may take, to connect with the outside world, to connect with the audience, and make society a more harmonious and happy place. Artists have been blessed with a special gift. And most of us will also think it's one of our greatest curses. We feel. I believe we feel more intensely than others. We're more in tune with our feelings. And that's how we're able to authentically share our feelings, express them through our chosen art form. And also, although we might have a difficult time expressing ourselves in normal human communication, like talking to each other, most artists have a difficult, like me right now, verbal communication. Our art form is our connection. It's our way of expressing ourselves and connecting to the outside audience. I want to be clear about something, too, that empathy is not sympathy. Empathy is vulnerable. It's non-judgmental. It connects us with our own feelings and the feelings of others. I read a quote somewhere that empathy is feeling with someone, not for someone. I thought that was a really great way to put it. And the arts provide that environment. Artists are able to build a bridge between themselves and the audience by expressing their feelings, putting it out there for the audience to absorb, to personalize, to create their own story around, to relate to, and make that personal connection, to create empathy, to understand what that artist is saying. Great art allows the audience to say, yes, I felt that heartbreak, I felt that despair, that anger, or even joy and happiness. The audience can relate to and understand the artist. It becomes a very personal relationship. You understand the artist. You can almost be friends with the artist because you know how they feel. There's a great lyric in a song called Funny the Way It Is by Dave Matthews. It says, funny the way it is, it's not right or wrong, somebody's heart is broken, it becomes your favorite song. I mean, how true is that? I mean, heartbreak has made musicians and the music industry very, very wealthy. Everyone has felt the joy and intoxication of love, and the despair, the sadness and pain, and the loss of love. so we can relate to it. And music is that vehicle for us to create empathy for the artist, but for ourselves and for those around us who experience that. And although empathy is usually related to negative feelings, it's the same for positive feelings. It can be for happiness and joy. I had a recent experience with that. I'm a big fan of the Grateful Dead, and I went to their last show in Chicago during the summer. And it's a stadium of 75,000 people. And the band came on, and opening chords came through, and there was just this sense of joy that enveloped the whole stadium. And it was just pulsating. And I made eye contact with everyone around me. And we didn't share words, but we knew how each other were feeling. We were feeling pure joy. It was just such a great experience. So empathy can go both ways. I think about how empathy has played a role in my life, right? As an artist and as the founder of A Reason to Survive Arts. And I go back to my childhood, and I was always an artist from a young age. There's one thing I was really good at. I really, really, really struggled in school academically, socially as well. And honestly, I got in a lot of trouble. And so, but art was the one thing that I could turn to. It was the one consistent positive thing in my life that I could count on. It was my best friend. And so, when I was a freshman year in college, my whole world fell apart. But then all the pieces came together. My mom and my sister were both diagnosed with cancer within about 5 months of each other. And obviously that turned our whole world upside down. I was 19 at the time, my sister was 21, my mom was 47. And with it came a range of emotions that were difficult to process and difficult to communicate. So I turned to my art. And I used to go up to my bedroom every day, close the door, put on the Grateful Dead, and paint. And the whole world would disappear, and hours would go by. And I'd come out of my room with a whole different mindset, a whole different outlook on life. I was going up there with despair and sadness, and I came out that everything was going to be okay. I had a reason to survive. And one day, towards the end of my mother's illness, after one of these painting sessions, it just really struck me how powerful a transformation that took place when I was engaged in the arts. And I thought to myself, if it worked for me, I knew it would work for other kids like me. Those creative, artistic kids that were looking for a reason to survive and using the arts as a way out, literally. And so I dedicated myself to creating an organization that would provide that same opportunity, that same experience. Just like I had my bedroom to go to, I wanted to create an art center for kids to escape what they were going through every day, to express themselves, to understand themselves and understand others, and help navigate this world. And so 15 years later, that dream, I started 15 years ago, and over the past 15 years, that dream has come true. We now have a 20,000 square foot art center down in National City that provides every art form: visual, performing, literary, industrial arts, media arts, dance, theater, for kids who are just like me. We serve 2,500 kids each year who are just like me, who need the arts for a reason to survive. So it wasn't until I started formulating this talk that I realized that arts was born out of empathy. I understood how other kids like me felt and what they needed. And so it was an act of empathy. And I never realized that until I put this talk together. And then once I realized that, over the past couple of weeks, I've just kind of observed at arts that even greater than teaching the various art forms is that we teach empathy. And it's not even called out. We don't have to do it. We don't train people how to do it. It's just intrinsic for the people that have gathered at the Art Center, both the students, the staff, the teachers, the volunteers, anybody that's involved with arts. I just kind of look at everybody, and that's who they are. They understand what the arts can do. And so our teaching artists, our older, and our volunteers are able to empathize with our students because they've been there. They understand the pain and despair, but they also understand the joy and the happiness that the arts can bring. We also have, many of our students have come through the program are alumni, and we've hired them as staff. And so they teach the younger students. So they literally know what it's like to be in those younger students' shoes. And so just intrinsically, they have empathy, they have understanding for these students. And we've really created a wonderful team at Arts that's really diverse, both in backgrounds, nationalities, situations and struggles that they come to the table with. And so I almost feel that arts is a microcosm of the real world. We've got such a rich mix of artists and students. Just going through some of these. Diverse, all ages, all backgrounds. There's Destiny. It was funny. Destiny had an act of empathy yesterday. I was printing out my speech at the copier, and she was there. She's like, "Is that your speech?" I said, "Yeah, it's my speech." Like, "Are you nervous?" I said, "A little bit." And I'm like, "This is a new speech for me. I've never given it before." She's like, "Yeah, I get nervous just standing in front of people." So I know how you feel. I said, "Thank you, Destiny." Next thing she said really struck me as well. She said, "Thank you. Thank you for giving these speeches for us, even though you're scared." And so gratitude is another thing that's taught at the Arts Center. And so, I'm just flipping through so you guys can see the diversity of our staff. And this is our HEAL team, which is our social work team, which really leads the effort in empathy. There's Rob and his merry crew of pranksters. So as I said, the arts really transcend language, nationalities, backgrounds, situations, whatever you bring to the table. And they connect us with who we really are. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all human. And that's a language we can all understand. We're all human. We feel. We feel scared. We feel pain. We feel sadness. We're all the same. And when I started kind of thinking about this part of the talk, that we're all the same, it reminded me of a book that I used to read my kids growing up. And they're still young. They're not almost 9 and 6, but when they were a little bit younger. And through the art form of children's book and illustration and literary arts, teaching empathy to them. And so I'd like to kind of close out today, before we go into some dialogue, with that book. It's called Whoever You Are. Let me see if I can do this. Little one, whoever you are, wherever you are, there are little ones just like you all over the world. Their skin may be different from yours, and their homes may be different from yours. Their schools may be different from yours, and their lands may be different from yours. Their lives may be different from yours, and their words may be very different from yours. My kids love that one because my wife is Turkish, and so they understand that her words can be very different sometimes. But inside, their hearts are just like yours. Whoever they are, wherever they are, all over the world. Their smiles are like yours, and they laugh just like you. Their hurts are just like yours, and they cry like you too. Whoever they are, wherever they are, all over the world. Little one, when you are older and when you are grown, you may be different. And they may be different, wherever you are, wherever they are, in this big, wide world. But remember this. Joys are the same and love is the same. Pain is the same and blood is the same. Smiles are the same and hearts are just the same. Wherever they are, wherever you are, wherever we are, all over the world. It's great. So I'd just like to end with asking you, whether you're an artist or not, but we're all artists, right, Nate? What can you do today in your life to teach or portray empathy, whoever you are, wherever you are in this great big world. Thank you.